she didn't drift away slowly. She disappeared, right when you thought things were finally clicking. One week the texts were warm and curious, inside jokes, late replies that still felt intentional. Then something shifted. Replies got shorter. Plans became vague. You replay the last conversation in your head, looking for the moment you messed up. But she never tells you what changed. She just loses interest. And you're left confused, trying to fix a problem no one explained. Here's the hard truth most men don't hear. Attraction usually doesn't disappear because of one big mistake. It fades because of small, subtle behaviors that slowly change how a woman feels around you. And what you think builds closeness can quietly do the opposite. Let's talk about 7 of those behaviors. Not to blame you, but to help you see what's actually happening. Number 1, you become emotionally predictable too fast. At first, your presence felt fresh, curious, alive. Then, without noticing, you started showing up the same way every time. Same tone, same pace, same availability. You thought consistency meant safety, but what she felt was a lack of emotional contrast. Picture texting her the same good morning every day, replying instantly, always agreeing, always affirming. You think you're being steady. She experiences no emotional texture. Attraction needs space to breathe, not because women want chaos, but because aliveness comes from subtle unpredictability. When everything about you feels already known, there's nothing left for her nervous system to lean into. She doesn't lose interest consciously, it just stops sparking. Number 2, you seek reassurance instead of presence. You don't ask directly, but it shows. Are we good? Did I do something wrong? You seem distant. You think you're communicating. What she feels is pressure to manage your emotional state. Imagine a moment where she's tired, distracted, or processing her own stuff. Instead of giving her space, you look to her for reassurance. The energy shifts. She's no longer choosing you freely. She's stabilizing you. Attraction fades when a woman feels responsible for your emotional balance. Presence says, I'm grounded whether you're close or quiet. Reassurance seeking says, I need you to feel okay. She doesn't explain this. She just feels less drawn. Number 3, you overinterpret her behavior. She replies late once, and your tone changes. She cancels plans, and suddenly you're distant or overly attentive. You think you're being intuitive. What she experiences is emotional volatility. Attraction grows when someone responds, not reacts. When you read into every shift and adjust your behavior to it, she feels watched instead of met. It's like she can't simply exist without it meaning something. Women often pull away not because you care, but because you care anxiously. She wants to feel chosen, not monitored. When your energy becomes reactive, she unconsciously steps back to regain emotional breathing room. Number 4, you confuse vulnerability with emotional unloading. Opening up matters, but timing and containment matter more. Early on, you start sharing unresolved pain, past relationships, family wounds, self-doubt, hoping honesty will build intimacy. What you think is depth, she experiences as emotional weight without foundation. Vulnerability that attracts is grounded and integrated. It sounds like, this happened, I've learned from it. Emotional unloading sounds like, I'm still inside this, and I need you to hold it with me. When she feels pulled into processing your emotions before trust is built, her attraction quietly retreats. Not because she's cold, but because it feels unanchored. Number 5, your interest becomes your identity. At the beginning, you had a full life. Friends, routines, momentum. Slowly, she became the emotional center. Your schedule bent around her availability. Your mood rose and fell with her attention. You think this shows commitment. She feels the weight of being your main source of excitement. Attraction thrives when interest flows toward her, not when your world collapses into her. When she senses you shrinking your life to fit hers, she doesn't feel special. She feels crowded. And instead of explaining that, she pulls back to restore balance. Number 6, you stop leading emotionally. Leadership here isn't dominance, it's emotional steadiness. Early on, you suggested plans, held the tone, and moved things forward. Then you started deferring. Whatever you want. Up to you. I don't mind. You think you're being accommodating. She experiences uncertainty. When no one is holding the emotional direction, attraction dissolves into ambiguity. This shows up in dates that feel unshaped, conversations without rhythm, energy without intention. Emotional leadership says, I'm here, I see you, and I'm grounded enough to move things forward. Without it, she doesn't feel met. She feels alone in the connection. Number 7, you sense the shift and try to fix it. This is the moment attraction usually dies. You feel her pulling away, so you lean in harder. More texts, longer explanations, extra effort. You think urgency will repair distance. But attraction doesn't return through persuasion. It returns through grounded absence. When you try to fix a feeling she hasn't named, you highlight the very gap you're trying to close. She feels your anxiety instead of your presence. What she needed was space to feel you again, not more proof. So she disengages further, often without a final conversation, because explaining feels harder than leaving. Here's the thing. When women lose interest without explaining, it's rarely cruelty. It's often a quiet response to how they feel in your presence. Attraction isn't a performance, it's an experience. And the most attractive men aren't flawless. They're grounded. They're emotionally present without being needy, curious without being intrusive, open without being uncontained. If you take anything from this, let it be this. Stop asking, what did I do wrong? And start asking, how do people feel around me when nothing is being said? That question builds awareness. And awareness, not tactics, is what changes everything.